Hello and welcome to my first video of my overlanding adventures. This was a quick trip to the Hoosier National Forest to shake down some gear. This is a still of our gear as we're about to head out from home. The big accomplishment here, not just a shakedown, but getting my wife to go along. Unfortunately, she just found out she has an infected tick bite, so maybe not so great. This is our camp setup. It was not ideal, but it worked out. We have dispersed camping for free, but for some reason many forest roads were gated off. I still haven't quite figured out why. I've camped for years with the Boy Scouts, so my camping gear was pretty well arranged. The main thing I wanted to shake down on this trip was a new winch setup. The action picks up with me having secured a tree protector to a nearby tree and a clevis to allow myself to hook the winch line to the tree protector. Everything went well except for some thorns in the tree branches. Some may refer to the clevis as a shackle. Same idea. I added to the video a few details that scroll by. It's a 13,000 pound X-Bull winch. It is receiver mounted. It has a synthetic rope. Notice on the back of the truck, to clear my spare tire, I had to flip the receiver mount upside down. A friend from the local overlanding club pointed that little trick out to me. Please remember safety first. Even with synthetic line, you have to be careful that it could snap. Note here that I have sandbags that I use I basically use them as counterweights to raise my rooftop tent up on the ladder rack. Here I'm using them as a safety device. It's not really a dead man, it's a dampener. A dead man is something that you would secure to, but there is a popular product that's basically a canvas bag you bury in sand that is appropriately named a dead man. Again, this is just a sandbag and it serves the purpose. Okay. Here you just see me using the cordless remote to tension up the line. I had previously tested the cordless and the corded remote. Once the line is tensioned up, I get inside the truck and start winching. There's not a tremendous amount of action here. I'm just basically reeling in the winch, sitting in the driver's seat. I have the truck in neutral. I'm not trying to assist it at all. And I'm reeling in the winch with the cordless remote. Eventually, I do get out of the truck just out of curiosity. There's not a ton of load on the winch. It's basically just rolling the truck up a hill. But I did get out just to see if there had been any heat accumulation at all. I don't run a double battery setup or anything like that. I've got a good Odyssey battery, but I don't intend to use the winch a ton, so I don't think I'm going to need the amp hour reservoir that you would get with dual batteries. I'm just curious to see how much heat the motor's throwing. Not bad at all. Yeah, motor's not working hard at all. If there's a particular part of this video that may be of general interest, I suppose this is it. Here you can see how quickly I can unplug the cables, remove the receiver mounted winch from the rear receiver, and lug it over and mount it to the front receiver. Now the front receiver is custom. That had to be done in cooperation with a local body shop. Everything else is pretty straightforward install. Now even with synthetic line, a sturdy receiver mount and the winch itself weighs a lot. So I'm lugging about 75 or 80 pounds there from the back of the truck to the front. I also try to point out in some titles later that a rear receiver cannot handle the full load of a winch. So if you were really bound up and tried to use the full 13,000 pound pull of that winch, it would almost certainly cause a failure at the rear receiver. Hopefully not a catastrophic or sudden failure, so you really have to stand clear and keep an eye on something like that. The front receiver, I'm confident, can more than handle the full 13,000 pounds It's a custom weld job and it's extremely sturdy. Here's a particularly gripping part of the action here. For no particularly good reason, when I switched the receiver to the front, instead of just repeating the same pull, I thought at this point it would be interesting to demonstrate, or for my sake, just to test out a Smitty-built snatch block. So basically, I just attach the snatch block to the clevis, or shackle if you prefer, on the tree protector. I thread the synthetic rope through the snatch block and then return it to an anchor point on the front of my Hummer. The pull, of course, at that point you have to pull in twice as much line to pull the truck the same distance. Pardon some of the pedantic titles I have later where I kind of walk through power versus work, etc. But this is something you would do if you were especially stuck and you needed more than the straight pull 13,000 pounds to move the truck out. And if you're wondering what I'm doing there fiddling around at the front of the truck, these are one-take videos. So at this point I realized I didn't have the clutch secured and it didn't want to pop back into place. So I just spun the motor slightly, then got the clutch to pop back in and then fed back in the line. Notice I had a lot of the line out, so you do have to be careful with that. You see the black area on the winch spool, that's the protected part of the line. So I used just about all of the line that you can use safely without having it slip and burn the rope. Once we had the snatch block in place at the tree protector, I extended the line around the snatch block and back to the anchor on the front of the Hummer H3. With this configuration, you can pull with far greater force, well, double the force, but of course then you give up power, so it pulls the vehicle at half the rate. One advantage of the receiver mount is the ability to pull in either direction, and with gear, you can do custom configurations as well. So obviously this video is not a work of art. It was just a guy dispersed camping and having his wife help him out with an iPhone to demonstrate some gear. Again, I do like the receiver mounted winch so long as you know its limitations. So hopefully this is the first of many videos to come.